Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, and tonight I'm joined by Phil. Hey, Phil.
What's up? Welcome aboard, guys.
We are down two co-hosts tonight. We have one in Alaska, and the 4-hour time difference isn't really working in our favor today. And Scott, unfortunately, is adulting and dealing with work-related nonsense. So,
is that just an excuse? Did he just not want to hang out with us, or is he really working?
I mean, maybe. Should we be offended?
I think he just misses Kathleen so much that it's just him and Parker sitting on the couch looking at photos of Kathleen.
I think so. I think you're right.
Can't say as I really blame him. At least I got to see her before she left, though. I got to see her for one day, and then she took off the next day, so the timing was good.
Oh, well, so during your family trip down, you got to see her?
I don't know what just happened there, but you froze hard at during...
Hopefully my computer does not start doing what it was doing months ago.
Oh, you didn't give it to your daughter again, did you?
No, she's in California, so so I can't blame her this time.
You only have yourself to blame.
It's only me. It's just me. But so anyway, I think the last thing I said was like, oh, you got to see Kathleen when your family was just down on vacation before they left.
So yes and no. So I was down there for a full week before my family showed up. I was down there on business. I had back-to-back conferences in Orlando. So I got to see Kathleen. Then the family came down a week later. So I got to see her. The kids did not, but they did get to have dinner with Scott. So that made them happy.
Oh, nice. Well, I guess we'll start talking about your trip, because your trip, although Kathleen was going to Alaska, you were the one who got the cold temperatures.
Yeah, somehow she was in the 40s in Alaska and I was in the low 20s in Orlando. I have done cold Disney trips. I have never done a Disney trip that was anywhere near this cold. It was egregiously cold, and that's coming from a guy from New England. It dumped 18 inches of snow here, and it was in the single-digit temperatures. We do that every day. I was not prepared for the kind of cold that hit us when my family showed up. I was telling you before the episode started, I had packed some cool weather clothes based on what the forecast was when I left a week and a half before. I FedExed a box of clothes home and told Emily, pack me a whole new suitcase, bring me down true winter clothes, because it was brutal. I mean, you saw the photos in and around Orlando. It was insane.
That was completely crazy. I mean, the picture that you posted on DVC Clubhouse on the Facebook group of the fountain at the Magic Kingdom frozen. I mean, seriously.
How often do you get to see that?
That is insane. I mean, I couldn't help but make a Frozen related joke when you posted
and I couldn't help but fire back at you. That was just the worst. That was, again, that's not a dad joke. That was a stepdad joke. That was awful.
I mean, how could I not, though? When you're looking at a castle and then frozen things around it, it was. I thought it was pretty
terrible.
Funny.
I can come up with a lot of adjectives.
I think it was pretty funny.
So the terrible part was I was down there for a week before, and it was absolutely beautiful. Luckily, I got to spend like a day and a half wandering around in between meetings to get set up for the conference. So I was able to do Festival of the Arts. Tom was there, Pam was there, their daughter was there, Scott and Kathleen. We all got to hang out for a while, wander around Epcot. And it was hot. It was brutally hot. And then the next day I got maybe half a day to walk around after a meeting. And from that point, it stayed relatively nice. And I was stuck inside either a boardroom or on stage at conferences the entire time. And my family shows up the following Thursday and the temperature plummets. They got one decent day to swim at Grand Floridian. And after that, it was everything we could do to stay warm. I have never been happier to wait in a long line than I was that week, because at least in the long line, you could get warm inside. We're like, hour wait, cool, let's go hide.
Yeah, typically you're happy to wait in line because it's air conditioned. This time it's because you needed the heat.
We desperately needed the heat. You look at the things that went down, it was kind of crazy. We still had a great time. I mean, let's be honest. You're at Disney, you're wandering around the parks. Even when it's cold, it's better than being up here and shoveling when it's cold. So you can still make the best of it. But we really had to change things up, especially with the way things were going down. You said you saw photos of the paint cracking on the doors at Old Key West. Monorails went down, doors weren't working. There were blown pipes everywhere because let's not forget you're in Florida. So we're from New England. All of our pipes are underground. And it never occurred to me, and Tom and I were talking about this, all their pipes are above ground. The showers at the pools were broken. The fountains were broken. Rides were down. Areas were closed. The areas that they couldn't shut down were gated off. The misters were still running at Epcot, and it was just a skating rink in front of them the entire time. There were cast members wandering around in droves with cameras and phones taking photos because they had never seen this before in their lives. It was crazy.
That is crazy. And I mean, so I think the week that you were there when it was nice before your family came down was the week that I was on the Disney Destiny with my sister.
It was.
And the week before, Kathleen and Scott and the Savinos, they were all on the Destiny, and they did not have great weather. And then the week after I got off the ship, I know that there have been a ton of the cruise ships because it's not as cold on the ship. That on one of the ships, it was like 25 degrees or something. Out at the outside temperature was like 25 degrees at one point. And I kind of hit that sweet spot that you hit when you were there for work, where we had 77-degree days, blue skies. We were at Lookout Key. We were sitting on the beach for 3 hours, and we both looked at each other and said, we got to get back to the ship. We are burning here. I mean, I was shocked at how strong the sun was, how hot it was, given that the week before and now looking at the week after, I mean, we really lucked out. So the winter weather is really doing a number on people's vacations right now.
Yeah, we were at the pool on Friday and we kept on having to hop from chair to chair to find shade because it was the same thing. It was incredibly hot in the sun. And then the following days, I had on long socks, long pants, a t-shirt, a long sleeve hoodie, a down vest, and then a down jacket on top of that with a scarf wrapped around my neck, like 36 hours after we were burning at the pool. And the kids were complaining about how cold it was. I was like, kids, when we go back in May, you're going to be crying about how hot it is and how you've got to leave the park and get inside the pool because it's too hot. Remember this right now when we were dying to get inside a building anywhere. I mean, even midday, we were going back to our room and we'd sit down for a little bit to warm up. Nobody wanted to leave the room. It was like, all right, we've got to brave this again. Let's make it work. But it was a challenge. And then I couldn't get the heat to work in my room at Grand Floridian at all. So, and of course, you've got those dinky little sheets and not really a blanket. So you're calling for extra blankets because the heat won't come on. It was, I said to the kids, this is not just a Disney trip. This is truly an adventure, this trip. We're going to make the best of it, but let's look forward to May.
This is going to be a story that your kids tell their kids. They're going to be like, one time I went to Disney and the fountain was frozen. And
that's why I got the picture of Luke in front of the fountain
Yes.
at Grand Floridian. Like there he is in a Patagonia jacket with ice everywhere hanging off the fountain. And there's Grand Floridian right in the background. Like talk about juxtaposition.
So the first time I ever went to Disney World back in 1991, the first day that we arrived, there's pictures of me wearing, I had like a North Face, like winter jacket on, a thick sweater with a turtleneck under it. And it was really cold that day. Fortunately for me, it warmed up for the rest of the trip. I've been there in January and February when it's been that like pretty cold in the morning. But by the time the afternoon comes, it's warmed up and you're like peeling off every layer that you needed to pile on in the morning. But so did you have any periods during the day where you felt like, okay, it's warmed up, or was it just cold all day?
Warm is a relative term. So, like I said, Friday was absolutely beautiful. Saturday is when the temperatures started to drop. So, it was actually warmest in the morning. And as the day went on, that was when they had that high wind warning as well. So, the longer you went through the day, the colder it got, the windier it got, the tougher it got. As a matter of fact, by the time the day ended, they had shut down all of the boats and the monorail was broken. We were having to figure out, they were busing people everywhere they could get. They couldn't run the boats because it was gusting like 50 knots. It was 22 degrees or some obscene number. It was brutal. Sunday was okay. It was super cold. And then, now Sunday stayed pretty cold right on through. It never got comfortable. I think that was the day we hid in the room for quite a while. Monday, we woke up, it was freezing. And at one point, I was actually able to take off my Patagonia coat and just leave my Patagonia vest on. It felt like that was a giant win. And then Tuesday, we left. It was still chilly when we got out, but it was slowly getting tolerable, I guess is the word for it.
So what were the wait times like in the parks?
So it's funny. You always know when the temperatures go to extremes because the wait times will go up in the big long shows. Like there are lines to get into Monsters Inc. and Carousel of Progress and all of those others. And then the rest of the park is actually pretty reasonable because nobody wants to go anywhere. We were at Epcot on one of the really cold days and you could walk into just about anything. Everyone was back by Ratatouille because they wanted to take pictures of the fountain and the icicles, but I don't think that got over 45 minutes. And that's kind of crazy when you consider how long Ratatouille usually goes for. But being the weekend, I think the locals just did not show up. It was the diehards. They were there on vacation. They were going to get the best out of it. But we never really had a crazy day with the exception of Dinosaur. We got to ride Dinosaur on Saturday, the day before it closed. I saw parts of that line queue that I didn't even know existed. And we were trying to figure out why they had all of those like line tapes like you see in the bank going all the way out of Dinoland USA. And I'm like, why did they put these here? And then it occurred to us, we're like, they're prepping for tomorrow. That got up to like 5 hours on Sunday for the wait time. But we got to do one last ride on Saturday. We timed it kind of right. We were a little over an hour. And by the time we got off the ride, it was a 2-hour wait. And from that point on, it just grew right through the weekend. So it wasn't terrible. But if you wanted to go inside and see a show, you were going to be waiting for it because everybody was just looking for a place of refuge.
Yeah, that's bonkers. I've been monitoring the weather because, it's, as you know, you're in New England, I'm in New Jersey. It has just been bitter cold. The snow the snow that fell, like that big snow, because I came home from the cruise to that snow. My cars were blocked. I had an hour left of sunlight and I felt like in despair. I had to trudge through knee-deep snow with my suitcases to get into my house. And I swear to you, by like the grace of like some force in the universe, I went up into my room to drop my bags and I looked out the window and there was a guy walking away from my front door because my doorbell is not working. And I opened the window and I said, hello. And he said, do you need help with snow removal? Because I was like in despair. I was like, what am I going to do?
You're ready to cry. You're like, yes,
sunlight.
please, please help. Yeah.
I have a corner unit, a double wide driveway. I was like, how am I going to get this done by myself in an hour? It's not. And so, these guys came, they had 2 snow blowers and a shovel and they did it in an hour for me. And I literally felt like
take my money.
It was like a miracle. They only charged me $100 and I was like, but anyway, so, we're dealing with this cold weather here and I'm going next week down to Disney for Allie's 21st birthday. And I just really wanted to be warm so badly because I'm so sick and tired of the cold here. And so it looks like we're going to have pretty nice weather, like knock on wood.
That's
but it looks like it's going to be in the mid 70s during the day, like 50s at night, like the normal weather that you would expect.
I happened to be away with the storm that we had 2 or 3 weeks ago, the one that dumped, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches or something. Of course, I was in Miami. So I'm trying not to send my wife photos of how beautiful it is in Miami because she and the kids are out shoveling. I come home for 48 hours, basically enough time to unpack my bag, do a little laundry, repack my bag, and I'm back out to Orlando. This is when it's still nice in Orlando. It's 80 degrees, and we get hit with that next monster that falls, and there they are for a day and a half, just constantly shoveling. They got like a foot and a half of snow over a 24-hour period. So now she and the kids are shoveling the second storm that I'm not home for. And she's thinking, we're going to Florida. I can escape the cold. And she shows up to 20 some odd degrees in Florida. And we were supposed to get another storm while she was away. The first one I came back, you talk about just landing to a mess. I had parked my car in the outdoor lot at the airport because I was gone for a while and it's a lot cheaper. And the snow had fallen on my car, melted, gotten in under the hood on top of the windshield wipers, and then frozen. So here I am. I land at 10 o'clock at night, and my car is buried behind a 2-foot wall of snow. Luckily, I have all-wheel drive in an SUV, but there is a solid 6 inches of ice surrounding the windshield wipers.
Luckily,
Can't
you
get the
could
doors
get in
open.
the. Yeah,
It
I
was-
was gonna say, could you get in the doors?
I was able to get in the car, but I had to knock everything loose. It was a disaster, and I'm frozen. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm in the middle of the long-term lot at the airport. So this time she said, where do you want me to park the car? I was like, I don't care what it costs. Park it inside the garage. I'll deal with the bill. It is what it is. I am not coming home with a wife and 2 tired children and having to chisel my car out of the long-term lot. It hurt to pay that bill to exit the lot, but it was worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. I mean, that is after a long day of travel to deal with that. I mean, that's kind of like the despair that I felt when I saw my house. It's like you come back from vacation and like reality smacks you right in the face.
Speaking of travel, there is one thing I want to kind of touch upon about this trip. So we have stayed at the Floridian before. As you well know, you were there that night at dinner when I had to book that one extra night at Grand Floridian.
Indeed.
And yeah. And the kids were super excited. We were excited. I had gotten one of the theme park view rooms, which was awesome because we got to watch the fireworks and the water pageant from our balcony instead of freezing on Main Street. Can we just discuss for a minute the fact that you, from Grand Floridian, have a tougher time getting to Epcot than you do from Value Resorts? You have to go upstairs, wait in line for multiple monorails to come by because they always show up full, to go over to the TTC, to then wait in line for the Epcot monorail to show up, to then get over to Epcot. It's an hour-long ordeal for what they charge at the Grand Floridian to make you do that to get to Epcot is absolutely infuriating. For some reason, it just did not occur to me that that would be the case. What an enormous pain in the neck for the quote-unquote flagship resort of Walt Disney World.
You know, I've said it in past episodes, you know, Bay Lake Tower used to be kind of low down on my list, but it has like increasingly gotten higher because not only can you walk to the Magic Kingdom, but you get on at the Contemporary and the TTC is the next stop, which makes it just so convenient because you're right. Like you have to do this whole loop around. I mean, if you're staying at Polynesian, you can walk over.
You
to
can
the
at least walk
TTC.
over to the TTC, which is what we always do. Polly's home. I mean, it's a pain sometimes, but it's not that far. You could just walk to the TTC. But just the fact that those monorails show up completely crowded and you could be halfway down the line and still have to wait for the third monorail to show up, it just blew my mind. And I don't know why I didn't expect that. I knew it somewhere in the back of my head, but it still just somehow came as a shock to me that I had to do that.
Well, even if you don't have to wait, it's still like a long ride around to get to the TTC. Then when you add the crowds, it adds another layer of like, you know, it takes time.
Coming back from Epcot's the same thing. So especially the night they had to shut down the monorails because they had so many breakdowns because of the cold. Now you've got to get on the bus, and the bus has to bring you back to the TTC because the resort monorail was still running. So now I've got to wait in the lot at Epcot for a bus to come by. You've all got to get on the bus, and you know how many buses it takes to accommodate a couple of monorails every 12 minutes. To then get dropped off at the TTC, walk all the way across the TTC to wait on the resort monorail to then get over to Grand Floridian. I loved the Grand Floridian. I loved everything about it with the exception of that. That is going to be the one hit that I take home from staying at the Grand Floridian. And it's funny you say that. We're going to be at Bay Lake Tower in May, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to you going to, just because I feel like, you haven't stayed there recently?
Yeah, we've done
right?
Bay Lake Tower. We did it. Remember the Bay Lake Tower incident with Luke many years ago? This is our redemption trip with Emily's broken ankle and the tooth and Luke's incident. But so we've stayed there in the past, but it's been quite a while. So we feel like we didn't really get to enjoy that resort quite as much as we would have.
Yeah, definitely not.
Post-surgery,
mitigating circumstances.
Yeah, we were like 6 weeks post-op with Emily. She was still on a scooter, and that was another cold trip, so she was miserable. We're hopeful it'll be better. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to actually enjoying that resort, especially at a time when it's nice and warm. We've got the Bay Lake view, which I really enjoy. You and I have talked about that. I think it's one of the most beautiful views at Walt Disney World. I think it's going to be a good trip. But yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said for the other two resorts around Seven Seas Lagoon as far as the transportation goes.
Speaking of value resorts, I am going to be starting my trip next week at the All-Star, I think music or movies. I can't even remember.
Doesn't matter.
Right. One of the All-Stars, because our flight doesn't land until like 6:30 at night. And I was able to get a travel agent rate for like $94 or something. So
that's pretty solid.
It was like so, but then the next morning we're going to hightail it out of there real quick and head back over to Boardwalk, because that's where we're staying for the rest of the trip. So
I've told you about our one stay at Pop Century, like our one experiment with value. I've told this story, haven't I?
I don't know. Tell it.
So we did the exact same thing. Like, we were coming in the day before, and I was like, look, I'm not going to waste my points. I'm not going to get a deluxe. Like, we're getting in at like 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, whatever it is. We're going to go over to Pop. I got a super awesome rate. It was like at the time $164 or something for the night. We'll just have them transfer our bags, and then we'll be over at Poly the next day, and we'll continue the rest of our trip. So we show up, we walk into the room, and I'm like, okay, this is smaller than we're used to, but it's a value resort. That's fine. We're just here for the night. No big deal. We get up in the morning. We go down to Bell Services. We give them our bags. We're going to ask for a transfer, bring these bags over to Poly. Then we go into, I don't know what you would refer to the food court as. It's like the food trough where there's just seats and stuff everywhere, and there's monster crowds. And we get the kids something to eat. Okay, still no big deal. We're used to our deluxe resorts. We're kind of, we're a little snobby, I guess. We like what we like.
We're DVC members who've become very spoiled because we always get to stay deluxe. So,
and then we walk around the corner to the bus stop. I'm used to a deluxe resort where you show up at the bus stop and there's 15, 20 people waiting to go to 4 different parks, because we're at Poly and you can walk to the TTC and you can take the boat to Magic Kingdom, or you can take the monorail, and everything's nice.
And you can sit on a bench while you wait.
It looks like a line to get into a concert. There are lines, there's tapes. There are 300 people waiting to get on a bus. It's like, no, not happening. No way, no how. I'm not in that crowd. I'm not waiting for the bus. Took out my phone, called an Uber. 2 minutes later, the guy showed up in the minivan and delivered us to where we were going. It was a moment for me. I was blown away, not expecting what that was going to be at Pop Century. That bus line was something else.
Yeah, it's like they have switchbacks for the lines.
Multiple switchbacks, and they're all 100 feet long.
Yeah.
It was like trying to get onto Dinosaur on Sunday. There were just people everywhere.
Yeah. It is overwhelming when you see the bus stop at the value resorts. I think that's where people, we talk often about like our favorite or least favorite modes of transportation. We've all said like the bus isn't actually that bad.
Well, no, not when you're leaving Grand Floridian or Polynesian. Right. It's not.
Right. Exactly. I think that the buses get their reputations from the resorts that have hundreds of people waiting for them or have multiple stops within the resort. It's a very different experience getting on the bus at Beach Club versus...
I was just going to say Yacht Club. It's like the bus at Yacht Club. Like, you show up to the stop, you're the first one, it's empty, you and 4 other people get on the bus, maybe someone's got a fold-up stroller. That's the worst thing you've got to worry about. Not at those places.
You're undercover sitting on like a nice, pretty, decorative white bench.
You're complaining that the next bus is a monstrous 7 minutes away. How dare they?
Right, exactly. So yeah, so I don't think that we're going to be waiting for the bus at the All Star, whichever we're staying at, because we're probably just going to, I don't know, if we decide to leave the resort at night for dinner, we'll probably take a ride share. And the next day, we're definitely taking a ride share over to the boardwalk. So we're not going to a park from the resort. And then we're going to be just hanging out at the boardwalk. And I don't know if you saw on Facebook, Allie's turning 21. So she has all of these places that she wants to go. And so over the course of our trip, she will turn 21 and then we will still be there for a few days. She has all of these places that she wants to go and have a drink. And I was like, girl, do you know that these drinks are like $20 each?
At least.
So she put together the list of all the places she wants to go, and I sent it to family and friends. And then I also posted on Facebook after family and friends had the first dibs of drinks that they could sponsor for her. And we'll post pictures of her with the drinks.
I just want to point out, just because of a turn of a phrase, that your daughter is turning 21 and you're looking to get her a whole bunch of alcoholic beverages and you're looking for sponsors already. You don't find that a little bit ironic?
No, honestly, when I was posting it, I thought I probably should find a different word, but I actually Googled like, what's a good word for sponsor? But like none of them really fit what
I just wanted to point it out. That's all. Just throwing it out there.
It's a valid point.
My daughter's turning 21 and
have.
she needs a sponsor. I'm just saying.
So, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And by complete happenstance, my friend Elena, who is the person who brought me to Disney World for the first time ever when I was 14 years old, is going to be arriving at Disney on the day of Allie's birthday and is going to meet us in Epcot to buy Allie a drink. And it just feels like one of those like weird, like kismet moments where
full circle.
Yeah, like the whole reason why I'm even there and doing this and love Disney so much is because of her, and she's going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to that too. That's going to be fun. So
Well, hopefully you get better weather than we did. I'm pulling for you guys.
I hope so. I'm sorry that your weather was so cold because it definitely. I mean, I even notice it being here. Like I find the cold weather, like when it's so extreme, it's like actually kind of exhausting and like so demotivating. Like you said, like
That's
you didn't
exactly
want
what
to
I
leave the
said
hotel
to
room.
Emily. Like, I
Yeah.
have no motivation to leave this hotel room today. Normally, I'm the guy getting up being like, come on, guys, let's go. We got things to do. I was like, nah, take your time. You want another bagel? We don't need to leave just yet. We're good.
And so you stayed at Grand Floridian the whole time?
So I actually had a beautiful room. So my work trip was at the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista, right by Disney Springs. And because of my position with the industry association, I get comped a suite. So I had a enormous suite on the top floor of the Wyndham looking out over Disney Springs. So I could actually sit in my room and look out and see all the fireworks across property, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
And
fun.
the suite was so big that I didn't even open up the door to the other half. It had a full sectional couch. It had a kitchen. It had a second bathroom. It had a wet bar. It had a dining room table for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. It had a working desk. And I was there from Friday to Thursday by myself. And I didn't even go into that side of the suite because it was so enormous. I just stayed over on my bedroom side, which was a different door. But it was actually kind of fun. As we've discussed, I have dad guilt when I go down there without the kids. So I kept the key that went to that side of the suite in its little folio. And when the kids showed up, I was supposed to be at a banquet, but I decided to not show up to the banquet. And I went to the airport, even though I had a car coming for them, to wait for them. And when they got back, I handed them the key. And when they went inside, arrayed across the dining room table were gifts for the children, like new Disney shirts and a new Loungefly
nice.
backpack and fun stuff. So that was their side of the room. But honestly, it was an absolutely beautiful room with a beautiful view. And then we got to go to Grand Floridian. So it was a pretty good trip overall. And hey, again, a bad day at Disney is not that bad of a day. So even though it was cold, we had some fun with it. And the kids now have a story to tell. We said we were going to get sweatshirts that say I survived the record cold temps at Disney and like make a cartoon of the icicle fountain.
Yeah, you could put your picture on there for sure that you posted.
It was something. We'll just leave it at that. But I will be very happy to be there in May and be sweating after being there that cold. Our first ever trip with Luke was cold, but it wasn't this cold. You know, they always say like it's a dry heat. Well, let me tell you, a wet cold, like a humid cold, is just so different than the cold we're used to up here. It just goes right to the bone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember going for the first time ever to Park City, Utah during the winter, and it was like 20 degrees, but it's a dry cold, and it felt like completely pleasant. So like the more humidity in the air, the worse the cold feels. So I could imagine that down there it felt pretty brutal.
Yeah, we were getting in the Ubers and they had the heat cranked up to high and the seat heaters on. I was like, guys, it's cold. I don't know if it's this cold. Like I'm sweating in the Uber, but you should have seen the people that live there just trying to deal with this. It was comical.
Well, here's to warmer temps for me next week and for temperate temperatures for you in May.
I'll take the heat. Bring me all the heat.
Let's not go to like 108 after being at.
Well, look
like
at the bright
8.
side. It is Bay Lake Tower, so that pool is in the shade 23 hours a day. So you might actually need it to be super hot. All right, does that wrap it up? I know we said we were just going to do a real quick trip review and talk about the cold.
I think that wraps it up.
All right. Well, thank you as always, folks, for playing along. I know we've got a whole bunch of new members. I'll make sure I post this up on the page so they know we actually exist over here. And if you could head over to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review, we would appreciate it. Amy?
And as Phil just referenced, we do have a Facebook group called DVC Clubhouse. So if you don't already belong to the group, you can find us over there. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, although we haven't been as great about updating those other platforms. But you can find us there with some fun content. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
Started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.